Hi, this is Brittany with EarthView TV, bringing you the Down Under Soil News, where our resources begin and end. Today, we're going to spin you on your axis as we talk about the Earth's soil, or should I say lack of soil. We all know erosion is a major problem in the world today. Lester Brown states that overgrazing, deforestation, and too much cropland is taking away our cover vegetation, causing massive soil erosion. David Pimentel, in a study titled Soil Erosion, a Food and Environmental Threat, concluded soil is being swept away by up to 40 times faster than it is being replenished. These facts sound daunting and a bit overwhelming. So today we brought in a special guest, Lisa Smith, to tell us what she has learned as a student at Florida Gulf Coast University. Hopefully she can educate us a bit and we can reduce our environmental footprint.
Hi Brittany, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Me too.
So glad you could join us today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
You know, I graduated from FGCU as an environmental studies major. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been a student at FGCU for the last 2 years, and this class that I took, it's a requirement for the college. It's a colloquium class, and it teaches about us, our area, the environment around us, and how we can help the soil and keep the environment alive.
So you're telling me that even those who are not majors in an environmental program, they're required to take this course?
Yes, everybody. I'm a health science major.
Oh, wow.
And I'm still required to take this course.
So that's kind of far off from folks who might be interested in environmental issues.
Correct. But everybody needs to learn about our land, and I totally agree because I didn't know anything about it before this class, and I've learned quite a bit.
Wow, yes, I definitely could agree with that. So Lisa, do you think you can save the world?
No, I don't think I can save the world, but I think I can be part of the solution to saving the world. I came today to talk to everybody about rebuilding and conserving the soil. Soil erosion is a very important topic. I really had no idea how serious it was before I started taking this class.
So tell me, what's my part? What's our part? What can I do? Folks, that is what we are going to be discussing today.
Well, Brittany, first off, I need to ask everyone a question out there. Do you realize that the Earth is alive? I mean, really alive. Like a living thing. You have to understand that and accept it as a reality to fully understand and start the healing process of the Earth. Only then can we help it. We have to stop the erosion.
Definitely.
We're killing the Earth. And when the Earth dies, guess what? We die. It's a really scary thought, right? What this means is everyone has to start working together. Scary thought, right? Think about it. Scary, like I said. Everyone in the world has to come together and cooperate, or else we're going to die. Isn't that scary?
I would say so.
Survival depends on the cooperation. Let's find some ways to stop soil erosion and start rebuilding it. Did you know soil has taken millions of years to accumulate?
No, I did not.
It does. It takes over 100 years for 1 centimeter of soil. Yeah, 1 centimeter of soil.
Wow.
So can you imagine how long it would take to rebuild our topsoil?
All over the earth.
Yeah.
Imagine how much soil it
We
is.
can't. It's impossible.
Wow.
It's an impossible thing. So we need to start conserving what we have.
That makes sense.
Let me start by explaining that the Earth's soil is like a skin. It's like our skin, and it's It's very, very sensitive and fragile. World Wildlife says we've lost half of the world's topsoil in the last 150 years. That's a scary thought, because when the topsoil's gone, there isn't anything to keep the vegetation on the soil, and that's what causes erosion. This lets the rain run off really fast and carries the soil into the waterways and cause clogging and cause sediment buildup, which kills our fish and all the other kinds of animals and plant vegetation that lives there. So soil erosion is a lot more important than what we really think about. Things that can cause erosion include water and wind, overgrazing livestock, cutting down all the trees. When you cut down all the trees, there isn't anything for the soil to grab hold of to keep it there. So, you know, it's really, really important.
So, I mean, I'm wondering why I should care about the soil. You know, I leave every day, I come to work, I get in my car, you know, have breakfast, go home at night to see my family. Why does this have anything to do with me? Why should I care?
Well, according to Pimental, we've lost over a third of the world's cropland in the last 40 years. A third in 40 years to degradation and erosion. If we don't have land to grow crops, we starve. That's why it's really important. So yeah, I think it does affect you. I want to make sure there's something left for my children and grandchildren, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely, yeah.
As the population grows, we need more cropland to feed everybody, and more pasture land for the livestock. We need more and more, but we have less and less every year. It's not going to magically stop disappearing because we want it to. We have to stop the abuse of our topsoil so our future generations have a chance. To do this, we all have to do our part, and that includes one person. One person working together makes many people.
But I mean, what can I do? I'm just one person. And how can anything I do have a worldwide effect on soil erosion?
And you may be surprised. Aldo Leopold, he has a land ethic that thinks we're all the same. He believes that none of us are more important than another. He believes I'm the same importance as the soil or as an animal, or you know, that's his land ethics. He believes that if we all respect one another, that is a major start.
I would say that's a big start.
But one of the first things you can do, like around your house, is to plant vegetation that's natural to the environment that you live in.
Okay.
If you have natural vegetation, it requires less watering, less fertilization, no herbicides, because it's natural to the area. It's going to grow whether you do anything for it or not. Mm-hmm. And when you plant this cover, its roots go into the soil and make the soil a lot stronger.
Okay.
And then you can slowly start building things up in the soil and get to the point where the soil is healthy again. Wow. And that's what we as individuals need to do, like in our own yard. Say you live on one of the canals and your yard is eroding into the canal. I mean, we live in Southwest Florida. There's a lot of canals here. You can have a retaining wall built that will keep the soil from going into your canal, or you know, if you live on the ocean or something like that, yeah, you can put in a retaining wall, and that keeps the erosion away.
Okay.
Oh, another thing you can do is apply mulch.
Oh.
Mulch to your ground, yeah. Because when it rains really hard, and when the water hits the ground, if there's no vegetation there, it's like a bullet. It hits the ground and sends the soil, loosens it from the top, and then as the rain runs off, it takes that soil and carries it away.
Wow.
So if you put mulch on there, it's not hitting the ground so hard, the rain isn't, and it can slowly absorb the water instead of just having all the water run off. and it absorbs the water, then it's also getting the water that it needs. So mulch does two.
It's like a protective layer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's like a protective layer on the skin of the earth.
Wow.
Yeah. There's other things. There's things that farmers can do too. There's conservation tillage. And this is the way that farmers reduce soil disturbances by drilling a hole. Instead of tilling up the whole area,
Yeah.
they drill a hole straight down with a long-rooted crop. And that holds the water in place in there, so it doesn't run off. It goes down and holds it in there. And it doesn't tear up the soil by tilling it. Because when you till it, you're taking the topsoil that's taken so long to build, and you're tilling it up all under the ground, you're tearing it apart. And we don't want to do this. We want to keep the topsoil good and like it wants to be. We don't want somebody tearing up our skin.
Oh, true.
So it's the same kind of thing. There's also organic farming. Organic farming is big. Tiziano Gamario, he advocates organic farming. And he says farmers who practice this type of farming rotate their crops, mulch, and use cover crops to keep the soil healthy. They use natural pesticides and biological control and to control the bugs and pests. And a lot of times what they do, if they're planting one kind of a crop, they find the bugs or the pests that like their crop, and then they figure out what pests eat those pests. So then they plant that vegetation around their crop, so it attracts the predator of their pest.
Wow.
We learned about that at Echo on a field trip that we went to for our colloquium, and they was telling us about organic farming, and I thought that was very interesting. So, and that's something that you can do in your yard too, instead of using herbicides and things like that. You can find what the pests are in your yard and plant things to attract other bugs that kill those pests.
Just takes a little bit of self-education.
Yep, it's a lot of self-education. But that's why we all have to work together to get this done. There's many areas that we can pitch in and do our part. We just have to find those areas. And we don't realize it unless we're educated to the fact
Absolutely.
that it's such an important topic.
That's why you're here today.
That's why I'm here today.
So, I know we live in a very unique part of the United States. Can you give me some examples of local soil conservation?
Yep, there's a group called Conservation 2020. It's a group of citizens that was formed back in like 1995. Okay. They realized that the area was really growing. A lot of land was being developed, and they were concerned because Southwest Florida wasn't conserving nearly as much land as the rest of Florida was. So they came up with a plan and took it to court and had this drawn up, and citizens voted on it in Fort Myers Beach. And they agreed to pay a certain millage with their property taxes. And that money goes into a fund where they purchase land to conserve. And they try to keep it in its natural environment to help our ecosystem.
I like how you brought in a political point of view. I think maybe that's another thing we can do is use our political voice and our votes to make sure we are together making these changes that are going to matter for the earth.
Yes, that's true too. We have to be very conscious of who we vote into office. Mm-hmm. We have to know what their views are on conservation and erosion, because we want them to be for the earth.
We'd be willing to maybe spend a little bit more of our tax dollars on conservation efforts.
Correct.
I've read about Conservation 2020, and I know they use some of their land for cattle grazing. How does grazing cattle on the land purchased for conservation help with soil erosion?
Well, Brittany, many of the preserves that are bought by Conservation 2020 were originally they had cattle licenses, so cattle could graze on the preserves. There's a lot of work that needs done to rebuild these areas, so until that work's done, they do continue to let cattle graze on some of the areas. The cattle grazing reduces the amount of exotic vegetation that takes over. It helps keep it under control. It keeps the fire, so there's not nearly as much fire because the cattle's eating the vegetation.
Reducing the thickness.
Yeah,
of the vegetation.
yeah, exactly.
Got it. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been extremely educational, and I know our live audience has learned a lot from you. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I hope I've explained the importance of erosion to everybody and what each of our small parts can do to help save the planet. It's going to take all of us working together to save it. So let's not wait until tomorrow. Let's start today. That's the most important point I wanted to get across. It's very important we start this today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is Earthview TV, bringing you the Down Under Soil News. We hope you've enjoyed our broadcast today.
Thank you.
Thank you.